common MBTI newbie question that comes up a lot is, are you born with your type or can your type change? Classic nature versus nurture question. Well, according to the theory, your MBTI type is based on your innate preferences that you're born with, and that stays the same throughout your life. Now, anyone's background, experiences, the culture, expectations of the people around them, those things can definitely influence a person's behavior, their beliefs, their value system, which may make a person seem like a type other than the one that they naturally are. But they are still always the same type. And one interesting question that seems to raise is, can a person's culture that they're born into influence what type they become, say from an early age? I personally don't think so. I'm just based on the fact that you can have siblings born into the same family, raised the same way, and still have completely different personalities. And yet you will have people who claim that they have these SJ values just because they came from a British family or a Chinese family or whatever. People attributing a lot of their own traits to their Irish background or their Jewish background or whatever. And yet there are plenty of people who just flat out rebel against whatever culture they were raised in. So, what determines when that happens? So yeah, the question of whether a person is going to adhere to their own culture's values and practices is kind of an interesting question. I think a lot of it may depend on whether they had a good enough childhood that made them trust that the things their parents taught them were the best ways to do things. My thinking is kind of, if you're the because I said so type of parent, then you're almost guaranteed to have rebellious kids. But if a person's parents have done a good job at teaching their kids right, making sure their kids are well provided for, then I'm kind of thinking their kids are going to just start to take on their parents' values until the kids are grown up, given the chance to become their own person. I was kind of like that. While I was growing up, my mom demonstrated the benefits of being organized, keeping track of time and stuff, and she basically helped me to get those things done that way, and so produced good results, and so I ended up believing that those were the best ways to do things. And then once I became an adult and moved out and started living on my own natural ISTP tendencies started to kick in, and it took me several years for me to figure out that that's just naturally who I am. I simply would rather not worry about things like that, and it still works out for me. And I'm fine with the idea of doing something that works until it doesn't. So what about those people who seem to adhere to their culture's values and customs, and attribute their own traits to their own culture? Well, for me, as an ISTP, then I identify myself as more of an individual, so I don't really have a whole lot of cultural pride, so I can't really answer that question. But I would imagine that if someone is proud of their heritage and they strongly believe in their culture's values, even if it goes against their natural preferences, I don't know, it may just be that those are the aspects about themselves that they would rather let others see. You don't know every aspect about their lives or how they do things. Most people don't know how I live my life when I'm at home by myself, how I take care of my finances, or how I set my schedule. I still get people from time to time telling me that they think I seem like an ISTJ. But if they were to actually get to know me and observe how I live my life, then it would be a lot more apparent than that I am not an SJ. I mean, sure, I suppose it might be nice if I was an SJ and getting things done when I'm supposed to, so that I don't have to scramble to do things at the last minute. But once I figured out my personality type just doesn't naturally want to do things those ways, and that there are other ways to do things, my life starts to get much better. who knows how I might have turned out if, say, I had met my current ISTJ girlfriend straight out of college and had those SJ values immediately reinforced as I started to live on my own. Now, of course, my girlfriend would have been 10 years old at the time, but that's beside the point. Anyway, whatever. Well, you're back. Made them trust that what their parents taught them were the right things to do, were the best ways to, what am I saying? I think a lot of it may depend on maybe whether they, those things are kind of cool, but not right now.